all learning a little bit more about how effective the Iranian manufactured drones are, which is a cause for concern. Uh, Vladimir Putin has been making use of those glorified uh, model planes to great effect in the Ukrainian theater, and it just goes to show Putin. People often accuse me of having a Putin hang up or romance. That's not really true, but I am constantly amazed by what he's able to accomplish. You know, he is driven and remains on point and on message and extraordinarily disciplined. And he's been doing it for more than a quarter century. His first he first formalized his relationship with Iran 26 years ago, and he last year signed a new memorandum of understanding for a 20-year period of time. Again, reaffirming his cooperation with Iran. But Putin's he's a pragmatist. He knows that sometimes when you're standing on a platform, there's going to be a faster and newer train that's going to go by, and it might suit your purposes to jump aboard. He's not burning bridges, but he's a situational awareness, something that DJT and most leaders have no concept of. And he's also, you can't discount the environment that Vladimir Putin grew up in. He grew up in communist, the Soviet system, right? The Lenin became Stalin, became dot dot dot, and he he was formed by forces that we in the West have no concept of, except from historical accounts. And if you studied Russian history, or had the pleasure of living there for any period of time, it's a different mindset. You were under different pressures than we were in the West. We're spoiled in the West, and remain so these today. Donald Trump, the spoiled child of an indulgent but autocratic and unbalanced father. Different thing. Um, and the my Russian is a little bit rusty, but the short proverb that I put as the title of tonight's pod is you eat the fish and you climb the Christmas tree. What does that mean? It's the absurdity layered over the top of agility, if you'll allow me. So when you grow up under a particular the pressures of that regime, when it was, when matters of life and death, and the number of people that were sent off to gulags, and it was different pressures than whether you made the varsity team or not. You know, I'm not belittling some of the pressures people of limited means face at the same time in the United States, but it's a completely different uh, picture. So if you are eating the fish and climbing the Christmas tree, is that you need the agility to be situationally aware and need to adjust to the changing demands of your environment. And Putin does that better than anybody on the world stage, and he's been doing it for a very long time. The KGB training, of course, the fact that he's a judo master, we talked about before. All these things went to form the man who is a verifiable tough guy, bad guy, assassin, right, that has done some pretty horrible things to his own countrymen and others. But it doesn't mean that you can't respect the discipline from from a, from a management point of view. He gets shit done, right? And what he started doing when he started managing the Trump presidential campaign, when he got involved in 2014 ahead of the 2016 victory. Then they had the loss in 2020. Did he throw a tantrum? Did he cry? Did he storm a Capitol building himself? No. He got back to work, and this is not his only gig in the United States. He is going to have successes that he has helped fund with his teams and his operatives and his oligarchs in Germany and France coming up very soon, and in many other countries. Great Britain may happen. you know. So this is he plays he plays the long game. One thing that was almost it was adorable in a way. The Every year the when the Forbes lists come out, and everybody is very focused on your boy, um, Elon Musk, the first $1 trillion man. And then you go down the list, and this year, because of the vagaries of the speed of AI development and how much companies have to put in to get how much back out, you know uh, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, the Google guys, kind of jumped up a little bit and overtook the other top contenders, which are, of course, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, and Larry Ellison, who I think I'm going to do an Ellison episode tomorrow, because more troubling developments about his plans to gather even more intelligence about Americans in an effort to uh, it's Big Brother. It's 1984, and it would be funny or absurd or both if it weren't happening to you and me and our country and our democracy. But but it doesn't mean that we can't take a hard look at it, talk it out a little bit, learn a little something, enjoy the absurdity of what some of our country men and women got us back into. We're in it now. We'll get out. We'll get out from it a little bit in November, and then a little bit more 2 years from after that. And it's going to be painful and challenging, but we're in it. This is our country, and we're going to stick with it. But until Vladimir Putin is no longer on the earth, he's going to have a hand, after Trump, he will not be as successful unless, as I've uh, 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 hypothesized, postulated, and otherwise gamed out, that he has uh, control over some part of J.D. Vance's wife, or otherwise. He will, Vladimir Putin, there's no quit. No, no days off for old Voda. He's always working, right? He's always planning, and he's looking at the elections in Israel. He's looking at Germany. He's looking at France. He's looking at England. He's looking warily at what the ICC is doing with Mr. Duterte, right? This week, because that Putin, like Netanyahu, and about every dude that's ever lived or worked in Sudan, is under the watchful eye of the ICC. Now, whether they can get their claws into any of these characters, will we will watch and delight and find out. We'll FAFO in our special way. You know? But back to the Forbes list, that I will argue, and I will never be able to prove it conclusively in a court of law or otherwise, that the richest man in the world might just be Vladimir Putin. How can I measure that? Do I know? Well, we know that at one point 20 plus years ago, he may have had discussions about financial management, moving money, and other concerns surrounding high finance and perhaps prostitution with a guy named Epstein, who you might have heard about. But there is there is a connection there too, not as intimate as the one that Donald Trump enjoyed at one part. But the absurdity of what some may argue, and perhaps fairly, my obsession and man crush on Putin. That's stick to the news. Stick to the news. Talk about what you know. Well, how about this? Imagine a world. Imagine living in a country where the elected, twice, almost thrice elected president of the United States was bilking the government that is supposed to serve us, bilking the CEOs of some of the largest companies to ever exist for the benefit of his children. And concurrently, that president is also the leading suspect in a child sex trafficking conspiracy. Is that absurd? Yeah, but we're living it. And if you, I invite you to read the mind-numbing amount that I have read about one Vladimir Putin, and try to study the man. Try to look behind the curtain. You know, the wizard that's right behind the curtain. Look at it. Look at it critically. He was extorting billions, with a B, billions of dollars from the Russian oligarchs, giving them permission to earn, right, right after, when they did the chop up program, the Yeltsin drunk chop up of the Soviet Union, and and the the Gorbachev. It's that whole time was the real Wild West. There was so much corruption that ran so deep, and then all of a sudden, Putin was there and he rewrote the rules. And what he did to enforce, he made some examples, right? Uh, Examples of some men that are no longer around to tell the story. So if you want to be the one that is in, if you want control of the nickel mining for all of Russia, as they say in various uh, Cosa Nostra movies, in this case, Goodfellas, I guess, is "fuck you, pay me." That's the rule. "Fuck you, pay me." So, or you're going to be out, or worse, fast. And he's proven the fact that that's his management style, and he doesn't. There aren't many idle threats in the world of one Vladimir Putin. So he was getting billions when a billion was a lot of money. You know, this is 25 years ago, not 27 years ago, since he took over. Prime minister, and then that whole thing, that whole game, the what do they call it? Is it Stuhl Polonaise? Is what is that? That thing where you play the music and that you get up and you walk around in the chairs, and then the music stops and you sit down, right? So whatever that is, yeah, that's in some other world. It's uh, yeah. Um, he's the last man. He will be the last man standing until he's not. There are other people with guns. It's a corrupt world. He is fighting against other really bad guys. But if you think of 27 years when he was getting every single year very well compensated by oligarchs because he allowed them to live and earn. I'm gonna stick by my guns because it's a beautiful position to take, because it will never be conclusively proven. So, congratulations to me. But isn't it much more fun than Elon Musk? I mean, SpaceX, right? Cars burning, all sorts of things, Mars, and wireless internet, and satellites, and all sorts of delightful things, and the robot army. The robot army is coming to your town soon, and it's going. I put a one in my feed. I guess it was maybe on IG or something. Just this uh, female robot, a a robot that appeared to be programmed to be a woman in conversation at one of the. I guess that was maybe at January conference in Vegas. It's mind blowing and frightening, you know. Um, but our boy voted, right. So Nikolai Gogol, right? He wrote a short story called "The Nose." Read it if you're interested. Kind of as a the underpinnings, the infrastructura, right, of what the absurdity of Russian short story writers from a particular generation, I find instructive on the mentality of such people like Putin. I, that's just me. That's my my strange wiring. But he can at once be influencing United States, Germany, France, UK, and figuring out whether it's easier for him to cut ties on a friendly basis. Maybe he has warehouses full of drones back somewhere between Moscow and St. Petersburg, and he has sufficient supply. Maybe the other folks that make affordable, effective drones are the Chinese. So maybe the deal with Xi is I will continue the flow of Russian and Iranian oil to you, Mr. Xi, for China in exchange for drones, so I can continue to prosecute my global or polar ambitions and my desire to reassemble what was once the Russian Empire as the ultimate legacy to myself. People say, "Well, Putin's losing." Putin Putin is losing 2 soldiers for every 1 Ukraine is losing. That is true. There are also UN investigations going on to the remnants of the Wagner Group, which is the, wholly owned Russian subsidiary mercenary group, the founder of which was mysteriously or not, died in a plane crash when he started speaking out against the Kremlin and Putin. Um, he couldn't have seen that coming. Anyway, so they're the Wagner Group, the remnants, which there are 3 kind of franchises, and they have names like peace, unity, and some other bullshit names because they thought that the brand um, the branding of the Wagner Group would be antithetical to expanding their business in Africa because they were responsible for killing uh, 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 almost 100,000 people, maybe between Sudan and other places, um, DRC. So what Putin has been doing is recruiting African soldiers, from militias and otherwise, to fight for him in Ukraine, just as he was using North Koreans. And he will use as many humans of any color, design, or otherwise. He'd love to have the robots, but we're not quite, I mean, the drones are robots, but we're not quite there as replacements for humans yet, because he needs cannon fodder, and he doesn't care. He's running out of Russians, so he's going to import the cannon fodder. Huh? That's the kind of guy he is. Is that losing? Well, you'd have to ask what are his goals. You can't say a guy is losing if his plan at the beginning of I'm talking about a battle, not the entire war, but it's the gambit in chess, right? I'm going to lose. I'm going to sacrifice this pawn because I'm going to end up winning the game. So that's a perfect analogy for Vladimir Putin, which is the gambit, and knowing that there's always a sap that he can throw to the wolves to buy himself a little more time, score an extra billion or 2, tuck it away, and move on and hit up his boys in China, UAE, and KSA. UAE, it's getting a little bit chippy because those Iranian-made drones are starting. I mean, the hotels. I have some clients in some of the hotels in UAE, right? And it's not good times down there. I mean, it's as you can imagine, that's not particularly good for tourism when drones are striking buildings and causing fires. That's what I think they call it bad for business. And we haven't, we haven't even experienced yet what the Trump administration, excuse me, the Trump version of bad for business is, of course, the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which is coming to our a country near you. In fact, your country, along with our neighbors to the immediate north and south. What do you think the impact on international travel is going to be? You think everybody's going to just say, "Cool," you know? Oh, oh, DJT Trump, the guy, the lying sack of shit dude who is taking extorting money to give to his kids in exchange for access to the White House is going to he's telling us the truth now and everything's going to be cool. So I'm going to I'm going to spend $3,000 on air travel and tickets to go to the World Cup because I trust the US government's assertion that everything's under control now. Everything's safe. Travel will be safe. The you know Billy Joe and Jethro, the ICE officers, are gonna know because I've got a little medallion around my neck that has a FIFA tag. They're not gonna shoot me, right? Because I have a FIFA T-shirt on. So Jethro ain't gonna shoot me because I'm a soccer fan. So it's all good, right? We're safe. Good. Glad we got that cleared up. Pleasure. I'm gonna go. We have I think we're about 19 degrees Fahrenheit right now, and I still have a little assassin who likes to get to bed early. A four-legged assassin, not a Russian assassin. So I think when you're thinking about if you don't obsess about it like I do, but if you're thinking about as a as an adversary, you're thinking about what is it that Vladimir Putin has over I mean, what does he have over Trump? We know what's in the files. And then there's that other thing, like we all knew there had to be he had to be able to dangle something over to compel, because that's how, it's pressure, right? Leverage. That's what he does. And what the big if the missing 50 pages do not illustrate what is should be enough leverage to get somebody out of office and locked up, there's the other thing. And the only person that has control of that little nugget of information was born in St. Petersburg. So when are we going to see? Stay tuned. Pleasure, as always. And I'm going to go in and warm up for 2 minutes, take the baby assassin, and we will catch up with you all tomorrow. Thank you, and do the restackings and things. And appreciate your time. Thank you.